Hi, I'm Leon Lovelace, and this is Unstoppable Force. I have a news story for you guys, and it's from The Guardian. It's about how Sheriff David Clarke of Milwaukee is epitome of what's wrong with this nation right now. Okay, Sheriff David Clarke of Milwaukee, a firebrand who is called Black Lives Matter, a terrorist and hate group, announced this week that he will be serving as Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security for Partnership and Engagement. The Department of Homeland Security has yet to confirm the appointment. If true, it would represent an overt attack against Black Lives Matter, Black and brown communities across the country and the globe by the Trump administration. But of course, they've always, well, first of all, they've been attacking the Black and brown community already, especially with their Muslim ban they try to implement and their, aggressive immigration policies they've been pushing about how they're just really trying to they're trying to deport as many illegal immigrants as they can, just breaking up families just because they're brown people. It's really heinous, and this is really destructive. And it's really counterintuitive to our history as a nation. Okay, just consider this gem by the controversial sheriff. We have several forces, internal and external, attacking our rule of law. ISIS, Black Lives Matter, Occupy Wall Street, just most recent iterations of the elements who brand themselves as unique but seek the same revolutionary aim. Take down the West, the philosophy of equality before the law, and replace it with their authority, their rules, their hate. Clarke, born and raised in one of the country's most segregated cities, Milwaukee, has served as sheriff there since 2002. Before then, he rose steadily but surely within the ranks of local law enforcement and built his reputation on the successful criminalization of black people. And this is also some really just horrible stuff, is just watching black people just accept this authoritarian culture of white supremacy and just go along with it as this is how we should treat people and how we should conduct our criminal justice system, as we should crush black people and really kind of, be a little more lenient on white people, sometimes a lot more lenient, especially when you compare, crimes, certain crimes, black people are always punished harsher than white people, and the same thing. It's really, really terrible stuff. Here's the biggest problem with it, is that at least 4 people have died in Milwaukee County Jail under his watch. So at the very least, we need to have some investigation to see why 4 people died under his watch and what the hell needs to happen to him. Because at the very least, he needs to be charged with some crimes of negligent homicide or some shit like that. Because as someone that's overseeing people that's in jail, all those people rely on you to make sure you keep them in good health. You can't just let people die just because they're in jail. It goes down a little bit, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. It says, the way he demonizes Black Lives Matter is befitting for an enemy in a war zone. He openly dismisses civil liberties, and suggests introducing limitless detention. This is jolting. Also, I think that's also fascism when you want to dismantle civil liberties and incarcerate your political enemies, and calling protest organizations as they're and slandering them as criminals. Later on goes on. We're up against Klansmen in business suits with government titles, badges, and multi-million-dollar weapons at their disposal. And the Trump administration is expanding their rights by the day. Yep. So he's expanding their rights day after day, and they just keep crushing all the people day after day after day. But this shit's been going on for quite a long time, much longer than 30 years, because we've seen all the mass incarceration that's been going on since Bill Clinton era, and him pretending that he was with the black community, but then crushing the black community, and people just went on with it. So it goes on a little bit more. It says we must remind ourselves that we have to reorganize, we have to resist. But I disagree with that a little bit, because we have to do a hell of a lot more than resist this shit. Because here he goes, the author says, this moment desperately calls for radical transformation of our society from the inside out. Our affirmation that Black Lives Matter is seen as transformative because we live in a world where Black lives are not valued. Black Lives Matter denounces Sheriff Clarke and calls for a renewed commitment to the resistance against hatred and bigotry. So yeah, we do need to, we don't just need to resist hatred and bigotry. We need to start educating people about how hatred and bigotry just disrupts and just harms and even destroys communities, which is not what we need to do. And of course, we don't just need to resist. We need a complete and utter political revolution to make sure that the government, federal, state, and local governments, actually serving the people, not just the wealthy white people, not just a few, not just the few select people that are calling the shots in the government, but everybody, especially black people, Hispanic people, Native American people, the gay and lesbian communities, the mentally ill people. Everybody needs to be represented and protected by the government. And right now that shit's not happening. So we're in a dogfight to make sure we get some accountability back in our government. All right, love you guys, and thanks for watching.